Hello everybody, if you're watching this video, you may think the default gun skins in Skillwarz are maybe a bit bland and you really want to express your artistic creativity in making some custom gun skins. For example, this AK-47 here, this one's pretty plain Jane. But what if we did something like this? We have ancient copper for the gun here, the receiver made out of solid gold, and finely polished wood, stocks and grips. Now, if this isn't your style, maybe this one is. Here we have a solid gold gun, except we have a extremely bright anodized finish for the receiver, this bright, beautiful purple here. And then the grips and stock are made out of this tactical black rubber material. Or you can go a very absurdist route, maybe something like this. I bet you haven't seen one like this in a while. This one, the gun's made out of red plastic, the receiver is made out of rocks, and the grips and stock are made out of yoga mats. Today in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make every single one of these skins with a method that'll work for any gun in the game. Welcome to the official skin designer tutorial for Skillwarz. Now, the first thing you need to know is whether you can even use skins in the game yet. How it works for skins is that you need to be in the top 100 of the previous season. Now what does that mean? Well, you can check your placement in the current season by just going into Skillwarz and looking right up here. I'm 36th place in 2022 Season 4. But what are seasons? There's 4 seasons per year. So you have the leaderboard, or you have the global leaderboard, you know, for all time. And then your fractional leaderboards, you have 1 per season. So in the 3 months, of course 4 per year, so 3 months long seasons, that you play the game, the top 100 people in that season will be able to use skins in the next season. And the seasons are split exactly 1/4 of the calendar year each. So I'm recording this video in November. Our season is ending at exactly the end of the year, as of right now. So if you're still in the top 100 by the time the end of the year comes, then you'll be able to use skins in the next few months. Of course, in the meantime, you can still design up new skins. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go to the Skillwarz forums, which is just skillwarz.com, and we're going to have to download a few things. So the first thing you want to do is make an account if you have not made an account already, and then sign in, because you need to sign in to be able to download stuff so that only registered users can download to reduce the load on the forums from bots and whatnot. So you need to make an account, but then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the download section here, and then we want to go up here and go to weapon skins, and then you want to sort by most downloaded. So we're going to download a few things here. We're going to download the Skin Designer Beta 1. You also want to go to where it says Syrian Skins, and we're going to download something from there. And then you also want to scroll down to where it says Skillwarz Skin Templates by Fraus, and we're going to download those. So just click this, download the file. Same thing with the skin templates, download the file, and you're going to want to download the ones that say transparenttemplates.zip. And then for the Syrian skins here, for this tutorial you only have to download the AK-47 one, but you'll see why when you're making other skins I would recommend that you download the skin out of here before you make the other one. It'll become clear in the tutorial. So of course I already have all this stuff downloaded. So we're going to start out and I'll show you how to make some skins here. The programs we're going to be using are Microsoft PowerPoint, MS Paint. The reason for this is because everyone has them and I don't have to tell you how to use them as part of the tutorial. The advanced tutorial is going to be with GIMP, which is much better, but if I did that for this tutorial, then like the whole tutorial, like 15 minutes long, would just be explaining how to set up GIMP, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to do Microsoft PowerPoint and Paint because like every Windows computer has those too. Alright, so now what we want to do is go into downloads and make sure we have everything extracted. We have transparent skins here, the skin designer's in here, and then I also have my Syrian skin AK-47 here. Just extract the zip files. We're also going to launch the skin designer now, so we just go into there. The skin designer, I want to show you the settings window. We can create projects here, weapons, attachments. say AK-47, your basic controls, you just zoom in and out. Right click is moved like this. Left click is moved like this. Your settings window here, you'll probably want to change these two. I'd like to put mine on ultra and then drop my FPS down super far. You don't really need to run this on like a bajillion FPS because nothing's really happening, right? So, and then also the weapons in the window will auto rotate by default. If you want to turn that off, just go weapon auto rotate speed and turn it all the way down. And then there's two buttons here, close and save and close. So everything in here will update automatically. So if you just want to play around with your settings, you can hit close and you can see if you like it or not. However, once you restart the application, that'll all be reset. So if you have settings you like, once you find something you like, come back here, hit save and close, then it'll actually save it for the next time you start the application up. So on this side over here, we have the textures area. We can import textures. I'll show that in a bit. This one here, we have some sliders. We can change the metallicness, the smoothness of the gun. You can also change these things, but I'm going to cover all this in the advanced tutorial, so I would just leave all these alone unless you want somewhat weird things to happen by accident. Everything that's not either metallic, smoothness, or gloss map scale. Depending on the gun you load up, you may have gloss map scale instead of metallic and smoothness. Just, you know, you can mess with it if you want to. It'll be obvious when you play around with it what it does. It's mostly just the metallic and smoothness kind of combined into one, just depending on how the gun textures are. And then this we don't really use. You can play around and then change the gun texture offsets, but you normally don't really need to. So now we are ready to start making some skins. What I like to do if I need some materials to make a skin out of, I'll go to Google and search wood PBR free. PBR is the type of like rendering that Unity uses, and most games use to take a texture, a group of textures, and make it into a lifelike object in the game. So just type in, wood PBR free, and then freepbr.com has a good number of kind of natural materials. So we can go in here, and I like this wood veneer 1, so we can download this here. If there's multiple ones, always make sure to download the Unity one. Then we can go into our download section, and then we have our stuff right here. Now, one thing I'll show you here in the skin designer. So we have our wood texture. The question is, where do we want the wood texture at, right? Because if we just stick it on the gun, now we have a big old chocolate bar. But it's not very appealing or convincing to just have an entire gun, which is obviously supposed to be partly metal or other materials, made out of wood. I mean, obviously it's somewhat somewhat interesting there, but that's not really the way we want to go with stuff. For most guns, they're going to be made out of at least one different material. So what we can do is, if we go to our transparent skins here, these skins, I'm going to open this up here. These are a map of how all the geometry on the model, how the entire model is mapped to an image. So every gray thing here is gonna get mapped onto the gun. All the white parts are just empty space. So for example, even though we saw some white in this image here, if we import that file into the skin designer, we will see that this is all gray here. So the question is, how do we know what on here goes to what parts on here, right? And that's why I asked you to download that one Syrian skin, because that'll help us out a little bit here, and you'll see why quickly. So if I load up this AK-47 Syrian skin here, and at the same time open it up just with a photo viewer, we can see how the gun textures are kind of laid out here. We have the receiver here, which is this part, of course, and then we have some of our wood textures are clearly shown here, and the rest of it's kind of just this metal stuff. So what we do now is we go into the transparent skins. You want to make a copy of this, and I always like to make another folder for stuff. I want to call this the Bling AK-47. So we're going to just stick that in there. What we can do is we can look at these side by side and see how the textures line up with the geometry of the gun on here. Because what we're going to do is color these things a certain way to be able to replace parts of the image in one go. So what we're going to do is you want to just close out of that and then hit edit here, and that'll open up Microsoft Paint. And then you also want to have the other one, close that, the other one open here. So we're just going to split our monitor like this. What you want to do is make sure you're on color 2 in Microsoft Paint and make this red, for example. Pretty much any bright color will work. What you want to do is go to select, and we can actually start out doing rectangular selection here because there's these very large sections. So for example, you can do this, and then when you hit delete here, this will be red. If it's white, then you did color 1. You got to make sure it's color 2, because when you delete something, then it'll be color 2. You know, for example, we can keep getting rectangular sections out here, and then for stuff that's a bit more precise, we can go to select and then freeform selection, and then just go right through here like this. You kind of wrap it around a bit, and then do the same thing. We're going to keep doing this until we have all of this stuff not exactly where these are. You want to use this as a guide, and then wrap your lines through the white parts here, if that makes any sense, right? And then make this all red here, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Alright, now we have the entire skin done here. Or not the entire skin, we have that entire one section done. So let's open this up in the Skin Designer, and we'll see how it looks. Now, as we can see, remember that this was originally all gray, and then we have one gray section replaced with this bright red section here. So that's obviously now colored different. Now for this first example, I'm going to be making the first gun I showed you, which is that copper gold wood one. So what we can do here is, if you go again into Google Chrome and do like free PBR, like gold PBR here, we see freepbr.com, scuff gold PBR metal material. So we can download this one here, gold scuffed unity. And then what you want to do is go into Microsoft PowerPoint. Drag this into Microsoft PowerPoint. So we're dragging in our texture there. And then we want to go to our download section and grab our gold texture. So we're going to replace the red with the gold. So we have our gold texture here. Then you want to send this backwards, and then go up here and go to color, set transparent color, and click on the red. Now we've replaced our red with the gold. And then what we want to do is just highlight this whole thing, and then hit save as picture. And we want to save it to our AK-47 folder here. I'm just going to call this one AK-47-2. Now if we go to the Skin Designer, we can see we have this beautiful gold one now. And then we're going to keep moving on from here. So if we open up again, so what we want to do, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, is our plan is to make the receiver, which is this part, one color, make the stocks and stuff another color, and then just make the rest of the gun the third color. So as you might imagine, we're going to do this same type of thing, but do it for the stocks now. So what I actually want to do is close out of this and then make a copy of it. So I'm going to call this one AK-47-3. And then again, we're just going to go into edit here and then start working on these here. Make sure you're working with your image and paint up at the same time. And we're just going to fill these areas in on here with another color, let's say green. And I'll come back to you when I've done that. Alright, now we have our AK-47 number 3 done. And let's see how this looks on the Skin Designer. So we can import this, and we can see we have very nice, we have the red here where we want it, we have the green here where we want it. You'll notice that this is a bit of a defect here in what we did, but you'll never see this in game anyway. So keep in mind that pretty much only like this part of the gun is stuff you'll even see. This part of the gun really doesn't even matter what it looks like, because it's not visible in first person. I'm not going to texture this right now because I'm going to keep going on and I'll show you how we're going to get the rest of the texture filled in here. So what we're going to do is go back to Microsoft PowerPoint. We're just going to delete this out of here. And what I'm going to do, we're going to make a copy of this. And go back into Microsoft Paint for just 1 minute. Edit this in Paint. And then what we're going to do is take a color here, let's say blue, and color all this stuff in blue. That's why you need to make a copy of it. You need both of these. Drag this into PowerPoint. Then we are going to set this as a transparent color, this blue here. Now, this is very important. It looks like you can skip these steps, but you can't. You actually do have to save it as a picture here, even though it's going to look really weird what we're going to do next. Save this as a picture. Then drag it in again. And then you just want to go to your corrections, picture corrections options. Turn your brightness down all the way. Turn your contrast up all the way. It should look like this, where the blue areas are now white and all the other areas are now black. Now we're going to do save this as a picture again. And you can just save it right over the one we just made. Alright, but now you will see we have a quite interesting thing here. Is that we can drag in our AK-47-3 and R5, and now we have our gun texture laid out in 3 different parts. So we can even make, we can even save this as a picture now. Okay, there we go, AK-47-6. So go back to the skin designer and we can double check our work here. So as we can see, we have kind of unintentionally made a very nice Christmas skin for the AK-47. But we have 3 different solid color sections, so we're going to be able to easily retexture these. So we already have our gold texture and our wood texture. And then for the other one, the copper, you just do the same thing. I just Googled free copper PBR, right, and downloaded it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull in our textures we have here. So we go to our download section, pull in the textures we want to use. We got the wood veneer here, and we got the gold here. And then we also have the copper here. Alright. So, kind of move these around here. What we're going to do, delete this here before I forget. And we want to pull in the one that we actually saved as a picture. There we go. So what we want to do is, it doesn't matter what order you do these in. So I'm just going to do these in the order they are in the stack. Whichever part of the texture you want to set that one as transparent. So like for the black, I'm going to make this copper here. So I'm going to make the black transparent, then pull the copper behind it. Make sure these line up properly, of course. Do you want to save this as a picture? Now just delete this stuff here, drag this back in, then we're just going to repeat this a couple times. Set transparent color. For this one, which one was this? That's okay. This is going to be the gold here. So we want to set this, save this as a picture, I mean. Delete this here, drag it back in, and then we want to set transparent color on the green. Go to our wood here, save as picture. And we can just delete this now. Now, as you'll notice in the picture here, if I can pull this up, that you'll have some artifacting with red and green or whatever. Normally that's not that much of a problem if you're careful with your tracing and stuff. You can always go back and change it, or if you know in advance what colors you want to use, you can use colors similar to that. Like you can use yellow, where we're going to put this gold, and brown, where we're going to put the wood here, so it wouldn't be as obvious. But normally it's really not even visible. So now we can go into the skin designer, and we can check out our skin here, And check this out. We have a beautiful new AK-47 skin. Now, of course, the question is, you know, you go through this whole process. If you want to make a different skin, do you have to go through the whole process again? The answer, of course, is no. Because we can use this skin and just do the exact same thing with another set of materials. So for example, we can go back to our download section where I've already downloaded a few other materials. Actually going to use our gold material again. Actually, wait, I'm going to do the, going in a bit of a different order here. I'm going to do the yoga mat plastic gun first, so I can show some other things. So we're going to go get some plastic in here, and then this, what was the last one I had in there? Yoga mat, the plastic, and the asphalt gun. So we can just pull all these in here, and we're just going to do the exact same thing we did before, which of course takes a little while, but it's really not that bad. So here we go, like in pictures, just go set transparent color. The most of the gun is going to be made out of this plastic here, this weird orange color. So just like that. You can save this picture. Not even going to bother naming these anymore. Delete. Oops, delete. Pull it back in. Transparent color. This one is the asphalt. Save this picture. Delete. Whoops. Whoops. Delete. Pull it back in. Set transparent color right here. Then we get the yoga mat. Save this picture. There we go. So now we can try this one out in the Skin Designer. As you can see, once you have a good template made, you can make skins very, very fast. So this is actually pretty interesting here. I'm going to show you, now this one, as you notice, it looks pretty metallic. It doesn't look very plasticky and rocky like we did. I mean, obviously we have the textures there, but it's just so shiny. I mean, like, you know, plastic and rocks don't really look like that. So, very metallic, right? even though metallic intensity is actually pretty low. So, for stuff like this, stuff that's completely non-metallic, a lot of times you want to have this down around 0. And then, when I was experimenting with this, putting this up to 80 seemed to be pretty good for me here. But, that may vary. Maybe it was only at 70. Or was it higher? I don't remember. But, you can end up with a very reasonably shiny or whatever. I mean, you can also make it look very matte. You can turn this down and like the whole thing, like, you know, maybe at 30, and it looks very, very matte. So you can just play around with it however you want it, right? Now, once you have a design that you like, hit this Export Project button, and this will automatically select all the textures that you added by yourself. I wouldn't, if these do not check automatically, it's best to not check them. It'll make your gun look a little weird sometimes if you do. But you just want to do this and then hit Export Project. Now, what this will do is put your guns, put your textures for your guns, I mean, into My Documents, Skillwarz, Weapon Skins. It'll put the texture, and it'll also put a text file of any of these things that you have adjusted here. So when you actually are happy with how your gun looks in the Skin Designer, you can export it and drop it into here, then it'll show up in game. And then for the last one, of course, if you want to make skins that are just out of solid colors, it's much easier to do. Of course, you have to make the template. But once we have the template here, I'm just going to make a copy of this. I'm going to call this Skin 3. We can just go straight up into Microsoft Paint again, like how we accidentally made a Christmas skin, right? And pick out some funky colors for our gun here. So one is that we can, I'm actually going to grab that gold color by going Paste From, and just paste in anything. Eyedrop it like that, and then hit Undo. Now you have the color and not the image. And we can just drop this in here. I want to make the whole body of the gun gold on this one here. So we can just hit some fills. And then we're going to make a custom purple-y color here. Make it very, very bright purple. There we go. And then I'm going to make the receiver this color. Then what we can do is we can just save this. For this I want to do a rubber texture. But as you can see, for the solid colors, we can do it in no time. We're going back to Microsoft PowerPoint. Dragging in our, where were we here? Skin 3. And going to some of our, what were we doing here? The rubber. Now, so far, I've put everything on top of the skins exactly, but if you're doing something that's really only a part of it, you know, and this texture seems to be too large, you can always scale it down a little bit and kind of add a little bit extra detail in there. Or make it a little finer, right? And then, so we can do this here. Save this picture. And then reopen it in the skin designer. Now I'll tell you what this refresh all button does in a second here. We're going to have a good use for it. We're going to pull this up here, but you can see this rubber is kind of like grayish. I don't think it's a very pleasing color the way it is right now, not very complimentary. So what we're going to do is we can just use PowerPoint and change this image around, go to the corrections here, and maybe something like that would be a little bit better there. Make it nice and dark. So we can do this here. And then we're going to save this picture. But if you're saving over the same skin again, which we're going to do here, all you have to do is hit refresh and it'll automatically update it off of the new file. So as we can see, we have a very nicely colored AK-47 here. So this is about the end of the tutorial, but I just want to recap on what we've done. To make textures for another gun, you want to go to your transparent skins and load this up here. And then you also want to grab the one off of the Syrian skins and compare it. So as an example here, we can pull up the L96 one here, which is pretty complicated looking, but we can use the Syrian skins one to help us out because that work was already done. So we can pull up the L96A1 skin here. So now, using this as a very handy template, we can go back through and color these around to make new L96A1 skins that don't just cover the entire gun. Or I should say, you know, like where the whole gun's not one color. We can maybe we could do some color here and then make this all kind of a gunmetal black, and should make it look very, very good. So this is my method for doing the for making new skins, at least skins that work in a basic method. The one I actually use I'm going to cover in the advanced tutorial, but this is perfectly fine. This is actually how I started making skins before I found better ways to do it. So if you only have or are only comfortable using Microsoft PowerPoint and Paint instead of more advanced image editing software like Photoshop or GIMP or anything like that, this is a perfectly fine method to make you some nice skins. So with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I do make other tutorials, and I'm going to be making probably some tips and tricks videos for the skin designer also, so don't miss that. Be sure to be subscribed so you don't miss that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below. I do read all my comments, so I will get back to you. With that all being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.